what are they gonna say? They're not gonna come shovel the sidewalk. They might say, yeah, sure, whatever. Do I have to hire somebody to come shovel? If I do, then I'm against it. My experiences in sidewalks, it all boils down to shoveling the snow on the sidewalk. People don't want to be bothered. Even though when they go out for a walk, they like to have a safe place to walk. So that's the balance we as a community have to try to seek. And I would support that application. I also greatly supported the CVS application. I just can't believe we don't know that part.
Sorry, a question maybe for Terry. So this is a 900, was it 900 foot?
827.
So this 827 foot sidewalk, except for the pieces in front of homeowners, who's going to shovel the rest of it? Legally?
I'd have to check.
Tom,
I get
our
stuff
raising
with
his
it.
hand.
We take care of all the township owns which is Crystal.
In this
and
case,
Boulder.
it would be entirely on the township's property, so by assumption, Mr. Manning would get
So we'll go.
Linda?
Linda Jansen, Simmons Road, Crystal and Tom bring up a good point because the majority
That's why we have three
of
supervisors.
either sidewalk, whether it be the 375 foot length or the 800 and some odd foot length, it's the responsibility of the township to do the shoveling, the salting, the maintenance. So I guess my question would be for Mr. Belvoir, the legal liability that the township might endure, say, what if they're busy plowing or if it can't get done and a resident walks down there, slips and falls, the liability would be on the township, correct? If the shoveling and maintenance isn't done.
Under Pennsylvania law, the Political Subdivision Tort Claims Act gives immunity to a township except for instance, township-owned land, which could include sidewalks. Now, it used to be that a property owner owned right up to the middle of the street, and it was subject to a right-of-way back X number of feet beyond the sidewalk, and the homeowner was responsible for the sidewalk, maintenance, repair, etc. But I'm hearing that in this case,
There's no homes on either stretch of the sidewalk.
I'm hearing though that with this particular circumstance, there was area dedicated to the township. Is that a fee or is that as a right of way?
There was a right-of-way dedicated with the subdivision in the 80s. So there was a 50-foot right-of-way dedicated to the township. In practice, private property that fronts on a road, in most municipalities, in my experience, that private property owner is responsible for the sidewalk that's along their frontage. However, the majority of the length of this sidewalk is along the frontage of open space that is owned by Lower Franklin Township. And for that reason, I do believe that a good portion of this length would fall on the Public Works Department to shovel after a snowstorm, much like they do with sidewalks here in the township or some of our parks.
Ernie?
Ernie Schmidt, 209 Silverbrook Drive. Yes, and I've listened to this since I've been around here a long time. I've seen us spend money at times, going back over the years, talking about connectability on Main Street in Springmount with engineering design. And we finally came up with the conclusion, and listening to the citizens' issues up there, putting a sidewalk on Main Street, and we all know what it looks like if you drive down there, would be absolutely ridiculous. You just can't do it. You don't have the room, houses, the elevation of the property is different. Last year, when you went for that last grant up here on Springmount Road, I personally thought to myself, I thought it was a mistake, because we all knew it was a connectability. We want to try to get it to your park. You had properties that were a different alignment. There was some engineering issues with trying to cross the little creek down there, things like that. And I kind of thought it would fail. But the issue of connectability, Crystal covered it. You have it right now. You have a community. Within a community, you have an 800-foot gap of nothing. People have to walk on the sidewalk. As a prior zoning officer and building inspector, I hate to keep bringing it up, but I've been there. That is a dangerous hunk of road. You can't make it any worse. It should have been connected years ago. It was bad approval back then. Now you have a chance to correct it. It's the citizens that need it. And it connects a community within a community. There's no homeowners association there. It will help. I know there's gaps. We have little pieces of sidewalk that could connect from the one development over to, from Cedar Hill to Springmount Townhomes. That can be done. It was talked about before in the past. That should be done later on. But I think this is a good grant. I think it's a start and a step in the right direction, and I think you need it. And also, when you look at it, I fought a little bit to get a street light up there at a dead-end street up in Cedar Hill. That was a safety issue. It took some convincing, but it finally got done. You had some citizens that needed that. I would recommend, and I would help you do it, if it comes in, to install conduit up there to facilitate in the future getting at least 2 streetlights down in that portion of that right of way to get, especially at Rimley and Goshen, to have a streetlight down there. That is a dangerous intersection. You have a development with hundreds of people living in it, and the street lighting up there is bare nothing. And you should have street lighting, and you can dovetail that later on as a future budget item. It doesn't have to be done now, but at least the conduit could be slipped in there that would save some costing for getting electric to future streetlights. Just a suggestion. And at this point, I thought there was a motion made, right? I'd like to recommend that the board would call for the question. Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to listen to everybody. I'm really interested in seeing the park go. I really do. I like that idea, and I think you've seen that we did like it. We were with these 100%. And I did not know that, we did not know that until now. And, but I feel as if since that isn't here, I'd like to see that the board here talks to the attorney about pursuing, find out who owns it, and see what we can do there yet. But I feel as if I would like to move forward to at least try and get this grant now. So I would like to second.
I would like to ask Carol one more question before the vote. Carol, you remember last year the feedback from the county? Is it your opinion that informing the owners would be sufficient for the county, given our feedback from last year? Given what Chef Reiser said.
Well, I think you've got a limited number of days left to get something done here. This application is due Friday. And you're really, this was a crunch to get this preliminary design done, to get us closer to shovel ready so that you're more eligible and more likely to be awarded the grant. I think everything you can do towards the criteria that Chuck listed is beneficial to you. But at this point, you've got 4 days left, and I think if you can at least get to the point where you're confident that those 2 property owners don't have an objection, you'd certainly be better situated than in the spring mountain situation last year.
So you're saying that we should ensure that the 2 homeowners don't have an objection before submission? Can we get that by Friday? Because that's what happens with the rejection of the grant last year. We did not have the approval or the lack of a objection from the homeowners, and that's why the grant failed last year.
I see what you're saying, but the thing is, we're in our ultimate right of way here. Down there, we were not, which I would like to see us pursue these people. But
I think what Carol is saying is, we feel that we're being driven by a deadline, and if we submit a proposal that we know will fail, because perhaps for the same reason that a similar submission failed last year, it would be better use of our time to submit for a different grant that we have a better chance of success for. I mean, for us to do the same thing we did last year, I remember that, Carol, you remember that.
Well, I think
That was the main reason we didn't get the grant, was because we did not get the support of the homeowners.
have an objection.
The objections from the homeowners.
But as stated, that involved acquisition of rights, which you're not dealing with here. I suppose the situation is, my understanding is that Julie at the county has done a lot of grant application preparation. You've got a preliminary plan here. You've already got an investment to this point. So you may, as a board, want to proceed with what you have today. Still, it sounds like Chuck already reached out to these folks. Hopefully, we'll have an opportunity to talk to these folks. But I'm not sure what reason there would be not to proceed with it at this point when a lot of the work is done to get to grant application. Yeah, I do agree. It would be nicer if you had letters of support, if you had something in writing of support. Failing that, it would be a shame not to proceed. Take a shot at that.
Well, we can take a shot, but if it fails for the same reason it failed last year, then we wasted all of our time. That's all I'm saying. And,
I serve the board's pleasure. I would prepare the plan.
now,
Supporting the letter.
who would be the best person to try and contact the owners? Would that be Terry, would that be you, or who ought to make that approach between now and Friday?
I would be happy to. I don't know if you're going to get anything resolved really between now and Friday. I honestly have a question.
I want to call for a vote. Linda?
I just wanted to make Linda Jansen, Simmons Road. Just a comment. Since probably 95% of the land that the sidewalk is going to be constructed upon is owned by the township. So in lack of, if you can't get in touch with the two anchor homeowners, which there probably would only be like 2 or 3 feet of sidewalk that they'd be responsible for, perhaps a letter, just to boost the application, perhaps a letter from the township saying, we are in favor of it, because you're the landowners. Or, as Chuck just mentioned, attach the resolution to the grant application and indicate it. It was just a suggestion. Thank you.
Yes.
Sherry Schweikert, Joint Road. Could you clarify for me what additional expenses would be incurred to put in the application at this point? Because I understand there's reservation because you don't have all of the support by the residents. What are we risking trying to?
There's nobody risking. They just they'll turn us down if we get turned down.
So if there's no application fee or anything like that, it was just saving face. Is that correct?
Yes,
Well,
that's correct.
It's not really just saving face, it's when you have an application rejected because you have failed to do your due diligence, and then you potentially do the same thing again. I mean, it makes us look bad, but if we want to get any money in the future, why would they even look at us if we can't do our homework? It's kind of like when you're doing an application, they say do A, B, C, D, E, and F, and you just don't do a couple of them. Doesn't make us look very professional. So it's not a saving face thing, but we want to be able to have a record. We have not yet gotten any money from the county, so we want to be successful. We want to do everything we can to be successful.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Does submitting for this grant prevent you from submitting for other grants?
No, we can't submit 2 projects for this grant. That we can't do, but no, if the township submits this and is not awarded, I'm not aware that prevents us from submitting for something else.
Thank you for clarifying.
Keep playing.
Crystal Gilbert, Borough Road. Other suggestions to help support the grant could be that if the private property ownership adjacent to the sidewalk is only a very small portion, and our public works guys would be responsible for the rest of it anyway, I think as part of the resolution, you could commit township resources to shoveling the complete section of that sidewalk. It's only going to be a few more feet. I'm sure Tommy won't mind. London, not sure. So that would alleviate the need for the residents to be burdened with that. You could also attach to the application letters of record or letters to the owner of record according to the tax map, indicating we're going forward with this grant application, with this plan to do this sidewalk. We are committing to maintenance and shoveling of the sidewalk, so you won't have that burden. And that way, even though they might not get back to you with an approval, you've at least notified them and relieved them of the obligation that's the usual trigger for people to say no. So in that way, you kind of lined up all the objections that might come up and push them all aside, as all as part of your resolution. Just a suggestion.
Thank you.
I just have a question for our lawyer. Should the township commit to shoveling private sidewalk on private?
Well, I think it goes back to the conversation we had that you're responsible anyway.
We're responsible anyway, because we have to go on the sidewalk at some point with the snow blower.
Okay.
So we tend to go across and open certain people so we can get on the sidewalk we have to do now.
If it's in, I'll add to that, that if it's in our right of way, and that right of way has been dedicated to the township, we're going to be responsible.
So can we amend the resolution then to include those two things, that the two homeowners will be notified by Friday, and that the township will commit to shoveling the whole portion? Oh, I don't think we need to tell them, is that true? Well, we can put it in the grant. We amend the resolution.
The problem, the homeowner owning that property is not there. So the renter is the one that would be responsible for shoveling. So now that the homeowner is not there that owns it, who shovels it?
Tommy just said he.
We have to want it off somewhere with the snow
Why are
already.
we really bothering about it? It's in the ultimate right of way.
It's in the limit right away, yes.
I think we need to notify the homeowners at a minimum that there's a plan for a sidewalk.
Well, right, but you send them a letter, they're notified.
That's a
I think, and we need to demonstrate to the county that we've at least done that. So if we can amend the resolution.
The seventh.
We need just direct me to do that. It doesn't have to be part of the resolution. But whatever the board's comfortable with, just direct me.
I won't end this here. It's been going.
Brian, I'll let them seem to go over. I guess the question I had for you is that there was a petition signed by a group of people from that community. I used to live in that community. I understand the issue there, having poor lighting and the sidewalk not being there. Does that petition assist in the moving forward with that? Helps with regards to the approval grant? Because obviously this makes common sense. It is a safety issue. It is a connectivity issue. So I don't necessarily agree with that. It doesn't fall within the constitute of the need for that grant. So I would suggest that petition also be, again, this is something that the community came to us or to our community about. The other project wasn't something the community came to. So I would say we're serving our community with a project of this nature.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, Donna, I heard this from that road. It's Tuesday night. The grant is due on Friday. I would hate to see neither of these projects with the amount of work that Jackie and Pam, Chuck and Carol have done not be submitted because the board is dragging their feet on dotting i's and crossing t's. I agree with Crystal that we can't always make everyone happy, but I think the submittal of the grant is important. And if 90% of the people who live on that road want it, then we can work around. The township's not setting down laws and rules. We're not going to take care of it. We're not going to. A decision has to be made. And waiting for township residents to get back to you is not going to be helpful in this task. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, I call for a vote. Do you want to change it at all, Chuck, or you want to? Terry.
Terry.
I think you're gonna
Right, go ahead.
write the direction.
Oh, okay, yes,
So we don't need to change the resolution because Terry said he will send others to two
yes.
homeowners. So we can just put that, we'll put that in the grant application, we're done.
So I want to call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. CVS Park project. The review.
Well, I mean, you've done it.
Well, we're on it. Can we stay on this and,
Absolutely.
okay.
Yes. We would love to have a definitive answer on the ownership of the park. And that, I think that's imperative, and we have a great plan, we spent money to get it. So,
And everybody agrees it's a great plan.
we've already even submitted grants for it, so, other grants, so.
Have they
it
asked
would be
for
good to-
ownership of
Huh?
have they asked who owns the subject?
Yeah, well, we all thought the township did, I mean, we're on the park board.
We did the search on the tax records and identified that this looked like a CVS, that's what we asked.
Yeah.
So I'm going to suggest that if the board wants to give you direction to figure out what the heck happened, because it seems like everybody's working from the proposition, this was a township park. So let's figure out what happened.
So I just have a quick question. Pam and Jackie put together a fantastic presentation at our early February meeting, and there were phases, if I'm correct. There was phase 1A, phase 1B, and phase 2. Phase 1A, if that is owned by the township, I can't see why we can't move forward with that.
Well, and we agree with that. It's just that the overall cost and time would be elongated, be more expensive, but of course, we have Plan B, which would be scale it back, build in pieces. But we can't do anything unless we own it, so that to me is imperative.
Okay.
And we have also looked at all of the grants, so.
Joel Kepler was the contractor. And I think I have his information. Okay. He's from Jersey.
Solicitor, I have extensive records on that project in my files.
And I guess Al Manning would be one to contact too. He was the original owner. And what he had done, you could use him for backing up that if he did say that it was going to be given to the township, would help us. Okay, we'll look into it.
Yeah, and I'm just curious because we do have other grant applications in and everything, and we could move forward with pieces of it. We have to mobilize fast to get those pieces done too. The sooner we find that answer out, better. Thank you.
I'm going to just add to what Jackie said. I'm applying for one of the grants for phase 1A, and I need to know myself because it's ready to move forward. I equally need to know the answer. I know